Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some malicious compliance stories and our first story of the day is by Biker Jedi. Want me to move something without tying it down first? You sure? Okay then. Meet Bob. Bob is someone I know. Bob is a great guy. He has worked hard to support his family his whole life. I admire Bob because he can fix a lot of things on his cars, house, etc. He is almost entirely self-taught and has a lot of common sense despite not being book smart, which is why I was astounded that he had me do this. Bob can also be stubborn as all heck and gets to be a real tick when he's stubborn. Bob's wife found a beautiful roll-top desk at a yard sale. She had wanted one for years. Bob asked me to drive to the yard sale with my pickup. Sure thing, Bob. I don't mind helping you out a bit. Bob's wife was excited. Her eyes were gleaming. It was huge, heavy as freak, somewhere around 250 pounds, and old. It was also a very nice desk. So Bob and I in the cellar get it manhandled into my pickup bed. I grab straps and Bob snaps at me. "We don't have time for that. Let's get it back to the house." I know darn well it isn't going to hold still and I tell him so. "Yes, it will. It is a big heavy desk. Drive really slowly with your hazards on." Now me, who actually paid attention to physics in high school, and you, dear readers, know where this is going. I protested. "Let's lay it down or strap it." Bob overruled me. Bob's wife said something. No, he didn't want the desk marred up by straps. I said something again. Bob got pissed and yelled, "Freak the straps, let's go, just drive like I said." I said freak it. I did exactly what he said, despite it being my truck. After all, Bob has done a lot of free work on my pickup for me. I was doing him a favor, so whatever. Let him be stubborn. We left the yard sale at 10 miles per hour with a dozen or so people staring after us, slack-jawed. Bob and his wife were in their Corvette behind me, so I was doing exactly what he said, driving really slowly with my hazard lights blinking. We make it the few blocks to the main drag that will take us most of the way to Bob's house. I get in the turn lane to wait. The desk starts to shift. The turn lane turns green and I edge out at about 5 to 7 miles per hour. The top-heavy desk tilted, started to shift, then the wheels on one side came up. Nothing you do at that point is going to work to stop it from tilting. Physics wins again. Bob's wife's new desk died a horrible death in the middle of Powers Boulevard in Colorado Springs one warm spring day in 1993. I could hear her wailing through the open window. Rest in peace, desk. Sorry, Bob's wife. I wanted you to have that thing. You were so happy. If you were OP and you had this thing loaded up in the back of your pickup truck, would you have demanded that the thing get strapped down in the back of your pickup before you started driving around with a loose desk? Or would you let Bob succeed in being stubborn and let them deal with the consequences of their actions? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Space Night Life, called "The Police Over a Burger." I will try to sum this up the best I can so it isn't long. I got off work at about 11:48 p.m. on New Year's Eve, went on a really long date that ended sad, and went to get dinner at 4:20. I ordered a burger at a burger place over their app and paid for it that way, so it would be done when I got there. I get there and the woman is very confused. The manager is brought over and he laughs in my face saying, "Well, your problem is that we're selling breakfast." I told them about how the app, website, and Google says differently and they didn't care. I sighed and asked for a refund, which the woman said, "Nope, can't refund, sorry." After some back and forth, I said, "Fine, then I'll call the police." She replied back with, "Do it." Now, I wouldn't call the police over a cheeseburger, but mine had bacon. I called the non-emergency number and a police car came over, then another. When they pulled up, I realized I just called the police over a dang hamburger. End result, I basically got a slip to come back anytime the next day for free lunch, which I just finished eating. If you place the order and they can't fulfill that order, why wouldn't you be able to get any kind of refund? They're just trying to steal money from you. Calling the cops is probably a bit over the top, but hey, if they're literally trying to steal from you, you gotta do what you gotta do. This next story is by Shiny Arrow. You just want cash for Secret Santa? Hope you like coins! Every year, our family does Secret Santa between our extended family to save on costs. It's an Australian $50 limit, but we like to wrap things up all nice and get really meaningful gifts. We use an online portal and everyone enters their preferences so you can buy something good. Unfortunately, my brother-in-law didn't really take it seriously this year, not for the first time, and literally just wrote cash in his gift preferences. My wife drew him for Secret Santa, so we put our heads together to think of a creative way to maliciously comply with his request. 1. We purchased a 1-foot-tall Christmas tree. 2. We went to the bank and got $50 in assorted coins. 3. We then wrapped small bundles of 1 to 3 coins in bright wrapping paper, then taped them so they were impregnable, safe, and secure. 4. We twisted paper clips, gold ones, super festive, and taped them to the bundles so they could be hung on the tree as decorations. 5. We covered the tree in wrapped coins. In all, there were 38 bundles. Fast forward to opening the presents, my brother-in-law looked confused as he received a small Christmas tree wrapped in clear plastic. The card had a picture of a little money tree on it, but we still had to explain that he needed to unwrap the tree and check the decorations. He soon realized the scale of the task that was in front of him, and he press-ganged the 6 children present into opening the wrapped money. We all had a laugh about it, and the kids had a heap of fun opening all the little money parcels. Money tree, plastic, paper, and metal, 2020. The attached image here of the tree, it looks like a pretty creative and fun way to deal with this. I was thinking it was just gonna be $50 worth of the equivalent of pennies, which is just 1 cent, just like a sack of 5,000 coins. But I like this one a lot better, and the kids got to join in on the fun too, so an even bigger plus. Our next story is by PiratesFan02. Want me to clean a bin of balls? How about you do it instead? About 15 years ago, I worked at a green hardware store in the Midwest US that helps you save big money. I had just graduated college and was going to be leaving in a few weeks to start my new job as a teacher. My manager and I got along really well, but he didn't like that I was leaving soon. We had this huge bin of inflated balls that were obviously dirty. Nobody wanted to clean them, and it was going to take a long time. Note, when working in a school, you need to take a training on cleaning up bloodborne pathogens. In many schools, the teacher cleans it up. The bloodborne pathogen training at this place of work said that you contact your manager to clean it up. I start to take out the 30+ balls to clean them and the bin when I see an old bloody Band-Aid. I go to my manager and say that I can't clean the balls because of the bloody Band-Aid and how I'm supposed to report it to my manager to have them clean it up. He tells me to get gloves and clean it up, as he knows that I had the pathogen training for being a teacher. Cue malicious compliance. With a big smile on my face, I told him I didn't want to go against company policy, so I can't clean it up. I also said that I don't know which balls came in contact with the Band-Aid, so I won't be able to clean them up either. He was pissed knowing there was nothing he could do but clean the whole thing up. He got the last laugh a few days later, but that's another story. He was a great manager and a great guy. How the turntables. The job nobody wanted to do had to be done by only the manager in the end. At least OP and the manager were on good terms. Our next story is by The Real Borkus, an unlocked bank. So I've waited to post this for a while until the security issue was resolved so as not to create a safety concern. I worked as a bank supervisor at a fairly large national bank chain for a little over 2 years. This bank is super crappy to their employees and very penny pinching on the backside, since they spend all their play money on trying to get people in the door to open accounts. I was in charge of opening and closing the bank each day, making sure things were locked, alarms activated, money counted and correct, etc. One day, in my normal closing duties as I'm leaving, I go to lock the front door behind me, but the entire lock falls completely out of the door. Obviously, I call my boss and let him know. He is upset that I'm calling him after business hours and just tells me to put it back in and lock it. Cue malicious compliance. I have no idea how to do that, so I literally just lock the lock and set it gently and precariously in its spot and leave leaving the bank unlocked. I come back in the morning and give my boss a call during business hours to get his approval to get our locksmith out. He tells me it's expensive to call the lock company, so just not to. I send him an email to get written, documented evidence of this decision and just let my employees know what's going on so when we get robbed, they are aware whose fault it is. I continue leaving the bank unlocked for 6 months. Eventually, we have an issue with our main vault lock as well, in which it stops locking because the electronics have failed. I report this to my boss, reminding him that the front door to the bank still does not have a functional lock. He says he'll submit the request. A week passes and I've heard nothing. So I reach back out and he says, quote, "It will get fixed when it gets fixed." I quit working there after 2 more months of leaving all the money unlocked and the front door unlocked. My employees followed, as none of us want to be responsible for the impending massive robbery. I recently found out from a coworker that I keep in contact with from a sister branch that it was not fixed for another 6 months after I left, when the security audit came up. My boss was fired, citing massive security concerns, but somehow no one burglarized it in that time. Maybe not the most climactic ending, but it's just mind-blowing to me that we left a bank unlocked for over a year and no one really gave a crap. In this case, wouldn't you just want to go above the boss's head and try and file some kind of report to some kind of higher-up authority in this company? Even if it was an anonymous tip? That seems like a lot of liability you're leaving yourself open to. I don't think I would do that. It would probably make me nervous, but it would be better than leaving the bank unlocked for over a year. And our final story of the day is by Glittering Refuse 661. You want to save money by reducing redundancy in our server infrastructure? You got it. It was in the 1990s when I worked for a software company in Germany. They developed telephone billing systems for major European carriers. The IT infrastructure was based on Windows NT 4.0 workstation and server. Each server had a redundant counterpart to ensure a functioning network all the time. Name a server type, and I am sure we had it, and always in a redundancy. One day, when I was working in the air-conditioned room for the servers, I saw that the primary domain controller had some problems with the hard drives. It seemed that the SCSI controller was about to give up, and the database server wasn't in better shape. Immediately, I informed the CIO about it and ordered the needed parts. So far so good until the CEO and CFO canceled the order and demanded that every redundant server needs to be de-installed. I tried to tell them that the current structure is needed and demanded by the major shareholder. And to add insult to injury, I explained to them that canceling the order for urgently needed hardware components to keep the whole network running is irresponsible. Both looked at me like Snape would sneer at Harry Potter and ignored my arguments. They ordered me to do as demanded. I thought to myself, okay, they want me to sabotage the company, then they will get what they want. To cover my bases, I asked for a written order, which was given to me within an hour. I made 3 copies of it and sent the original one to the CIO and to the HR together with my resignation and asking to have my overtime be converted to free days. When the okay came, I started to do as requested even when I knew that the whole thing will end in a disaster. Every redundant server was shut down, the hard drives formatted, and the devices were returned to the storage facility. At the end of the day, I said my goodbye to my coworkers and left to never return. I knew what would happen within a week or 2, but I didn't care anymore. I had been put through so much at this company that I was glad to have quit my job. A few of my coworkers had become good friends, and we still have a good connection and help each other out once in a while. Well, a few days later, I got a frantic call from the CIO because the whole network was down and nothing was working. The PDC crashed spectacularly, and the database server had followed right after. My reply was, "Sorry, but I don't work for you guys anymore, and I am on vacation. Good luck and goodbye." I complied with the request made by the upper echelon of the company while maliciously wishing them to be chewed by the major shareholder, which then happened and the company went down pretty fast. And this is why you leave servers and infrastructure up to the guys that actually deal with servers and infrastructure. When people at the very tippy top start getting their hands too involved in what you should and shouldn't do and overriding orders from an experienced professional, most of the time they're gonna find themselves in very hot water. It was so bad that OP said, "Okay, screw this, I'm out, have fun with the mess." And have fun, it sounds like they did. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.